Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Recharge Podcast. And the topic today, well, let's just get into it. So you might be thinking, what's the big deal? I know plenty of guys who struggle with erections. I want to tell you this is a huge deal, and we're talking about a serious issue that can significantly impact not only the quality of your life, your lifespan, but also even your chance of dying prematurely. It's time to take this seriously. I want to share some data from the Princeton 3 consensus. It's not so important that you understand the name of that, but this is going to be just sort of a little conversation between two friends of mine that were created with AI technology, courtesy of Google. And if you want the full video, you can check that out on YouTube. Undoubtedly, this affects somebody you know, and if you find value here, please share it. And I'd always appreciate any reviews as I continue to pump out content that I think can have the impact to change lives. You might say, why do I create this content? Why don't I market it or promote it? The goal here is to impact one person, and hopefully that one person is you. Cheers.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we are doing a deep dive on something that I think a lot of people will find pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
We are taking a look at erectile dysfunction.
Or ED, as it's commonly known.
ED, exactly.
Yeah.
And its surprising link to heart health.
It's a fascinating area. And, surprising is an understatement when it comes to some of the research.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're not just talking about, sharing a few common risk factors or anything like that. We're talking about ED potentially being a red flag for some serious heart conditions.
Yeah.
Heart attack, stroke, heart failure.
Wow.
And this could be years before any of those conditions might even be on your radar.
So it's really interesting that you flagged this research for us.
Yeah.
Because it's something that, we hear about. We see it advertised all the time, but we don't necessarily think of it as being linked to our heart health.
It's true.
So
For a long time, it was really viewed as, through the lens of relationships or self-esteem, a bedroom issue, as it was often called.
Right.
But this research really kind of reframes it entirely.
Okay.
And it highlights ED as a potential vital sign for your overall cardiovascular health.
That's really interesting. So, we always hear about those risk factors that are in common between heart health, heart disease, and ED.
Yeah.
Things like obesity, smoking, diabetes.
Absolutely. All of those lifestyle factors play a role in both.
Right.
And that's what makes this research so interesting, is because it goes a step further. It says, okay, those things are important, but independently of all those factors, ED itself is a risk factor for heart problems.
Wow.
So even if you think you're in the clear because you eat well and you exercise, experiencing ED should be a bit of a wake-up call.
Wow. So it's almost like your body's like, hey, pay attention.
Exactly.
Something's not right here.
It's like this early warning system, and sometimes it speaks in subtle ways.
Okay.
And ED is potentially one of those signals, particularly when it comes to your heart.
And I think a lot of people listening might think, well, okay, this is, men in their 60s, their 70s.
Yeah.
Is that really who we're talking about here?
It's a common misconception.
Okay.
One of the really compelling findings from this research was that this holds true for much younger men as well.
Okay, so we're talking...
Even men under 40.
Wow, under 40.
Were shown to have a significantly higher chance of developing heart problems later in life if they were experiencing ED.
And what does that actually mean? Like when we say increased risk, like what are we actually talking about for those men under 40?
So for men under 40 who experienced ED, they found a 7-fold increase in the rate of heart issues compared to men their age who didn't experience ED.
Wow.
So that's significant.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's not something to ignore.
No, absolutely not. 7 times the risk?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is.
For anyone listening who's maybe in that boat right now and thinking, oh, wow, is this something I need to be really concerned about?
Well, and I think that's understandable. Anytime we hear statistics like that, it can be a little bit anxiety-provoking.
Right, of course.
But I think the important thing to remember here is that this information isn't meant to scare anyone.
Yeah.
It's about empowering men to take control of their health.
Okay, I like that.
And it really kind of shifts the perspective because if we think about it, recognizing ED as a potential early warning sign means that there's an opportunity to intervene and potentially prevent more serious heart issues down the line.
So it's really about shifting from that place of fear to a place of action.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that's so empowering about this research is that it really emphasizes prevention.
Okay.
It's not about, needing complex medical procedures or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's really recognizing that, making those lifestyle changes can make a world of difference.
And what kind of lifestyle changes are we talking about here? Because I think we hear this all the time. It's kind of like, yeah. Diet and exercise, got it. But get a little more specific.
Sure. So, we're not talking about finding a magic pill or anything like that.
Right.
It's really about, sustainable, healthy choices. So things like, a balanced diet. The Mediterranean diet is often cited as, a really fantastic place to start.
Okay.
Emphasizing fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats.
Okay.
And then, in addition to that, we've got regular physical activity.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything extreme. We're not talking about, becoming a marathon runner or anything.
Right.
But even moderate exercise a few times a week can have a significant impact.
And I'm going to guess that smoking is probably
absolutely
like a no-no.
Smoking is one of the worst things you can do.
Okay.
For both your heart health and for erectile function because it damages your blood vessels.
Okay, so that's a big one.
Huge. Yeah. I mean, those are all things that we, kind of hear and we know we should be doing.
Right.
But there's another piece of this research that I thought was really interesting, and that was this kind of role of testosterone.
Yeah, absolutely. Testosterone is a key piece of this puzzle, and I think it often gets, kind of pigeonholed as being just about, sex drive.
Right.
But it actually plays a far more significant role in our overall health, including cardiovascular health.
So it's not just about the libido. It's
not just about the libido.
The actual health of your heart. Exactly. And what this research highlights is that low testosterone levels are linked to both ED and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. So it's like a double whammy.
So not only can it be a contributing factor to ED, but it can also independently increase your risk of heart problems.
That's exactly right.
That's huge.
It is huge. And that's why it's so important, I think, for men, especially those who are experiencing ED, to talk to their doctor about getting their testosterone levels checked.
Yeah.
Because that might be a key factor to address, and it could make a big difference.
Wow. So much good information in this research paper.
There is.
And I think
it's fascinating.
It is. And, I think a lot of men listening might be thinking, okay, this is all great, but how do I even bring this up to my doctor?
Right.
Yeah. It's a tough one because it can feel a little awkward.
Yeah.
Bringing this up, with anybody really, let alone your doctor.
Of course. And that's totally understandable. But this is where, having that open and honest conversation with your doctor is so crucial.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, your doctor is your partner in health.
Right.
And they are there to support you, not judge you.
Yeah.
So, bringing this up to them isn't about, making anybody feel uncomfortable. It's about giving them information. Okay. It's about saying, hey, this is something that, I'm concerned about or I'm experiencing, and that can help them better understand, the full picture of your health.
Exactly. Because as we've been talking about, this information is not about adding stress. It's about giving you the power to make informed decisions about your health.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it might guide them, you know, in terms of, okay, well, maybe we need to do some further investigation, or maybe we need to make some, more significant lifestyle changes, or even, let's explore hormone therapy if that's appropriate. Yeah. So it's really a jumping off point for a broader conversation.
It really is. It's interesting. We started off talking about ED, and here we are talking about the interconnectedness of the entire human body.
It's all connected. And it really, I think this deep dive kind of brings up a really thought-provoking question.
Okay.
While the research mainly focuses on men, it does make you wonder, could there be similar early warning signs for cardiovascular disease in women?
Oh, that's interesting.
That were potentially overlooked?
That we haven't even thought about, because it's not part of our typical checkup or our thought process.
It highlights how much we still don't know about, the complexities of the human body.
For sure, both for men and for women.
Absolutely.
Well, on that note, I think that is the perfect place to wrap up our deep dive today. If you are listening and, feeling a little bit inspired to, prioritize your health, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Taking care of your heart, taking care of your overall well-being is such an important investment.
It is.
And it's something that, you deserve to prioritize. So until next time, be well, everybody.